Welcome to Live to Lead, a program that is designed to help you and me to make sure that we live lives of influence and impact. And the program comes to you with compliments from Bishop Dean Klapo, the founder and the general overseer of God Never Fails Revival Church, a ministry and an organization that is really designed to touch the whole world with the Word of God. But in this particular segment, we're focusing on issues of leadership. And I'm excited to be your host today and to be sharing some thoughts with you on the subject of resetting to thrive in the new normal. It's a series we have started some time back. We are now in part 4. It's a 7-part series on resetting to thrive in the new normal. We're talking about this because the world has experienced a crisis called COVID-19 pandemic. But the discussion, of course, is not only limited to the issues of the COVID-19 pandemic. It can be any other crisis, whether it is financial, whether it's economic, whether it's health, or whatever it is that you might have experienced. And the crisis, as you know by now, it brings that thing called the new normal, because the new normal is an inevitable consequence or outgrowth or result of a crisis. In other words, the new normal makes it impossible for us to go back to the old normal. And that is why we are not bouncing back, but we are bouncing forward to the new normal. But you need to reset for the new normal. That's why it's called new, because it has never been there before. It's a new world. It's an unfamiliar territory. You need to reset for it, reorganize yourself for it. And there are 7 elements that we have identified which are always or most often affected by crisis. And we are dealing with each one of them in each part. So today we are dealing with the 4th one, and that is reset your sails. Reset your sails. The first was reset your sanity. The second was reset your sight. The third was reset your stage. And today, in this part of the series, part 4, we reset your sails. And there is a verse from the Bible, which is a recurring verse that we are reading in this 7-part series. And it is in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 3. We read from the New Living Translation. And it reads, "A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences." This verse says there are 2 kinds of people when it comes to the new normal, when it comes to the unfamiliar territory. One is prudent, and the prudent one foresees danger. And we have said, and we are saying today, that the new normal is dangerous and evil, not because it is dangerous and evil in itself, but because it is unfamiliar, because it is new, and we may not be prepared for it. And if we are not prepared for it, it can be harsh on us. We can struggle to survive in it. We can struggle to do business and do life in it, because it is a new thing, unfamiliar. So if you are prudent, you foresee it as something that can be dangerous. And what do? You take precautions, or you hide yourself. In other words, you make sure that it will not harm you by resetting, by reorganizing, by retraining yourself, by repositioning yourself, so that you can do well in this new normal. But the simpleton, meaning those who do not think, those who are not prudent, those who are not wise, they simply jump into the new normal without resetting, without taking precautions, and they are punished or they suffer from the consequences of not taking the precautions. This program is designed to help you and me to make sure that we do take the precautions. And how do we do that? We reset our sanity, we reset our sight, we reset our stage, we reset our sails, we reset our standards, we reset our scales, and we reset our sound. Now, we have dealt with resetting your sanity, resetting your sight, resetting your stage. And today, we are dealing with part 4, resetting your sails. Why must we reset the sails? Well, I've made a statement there that when sailing in a stormy weather, what really matters is not the blowing of the wind, but rather the setting and the resetting of the sails. What are we talking about here? When you are sailing in the ocean or in the river, you set the sails. If you are using a sailboat or a sail ship, you set the sails based on the conditions in the ocean, based on the intensity of the wind and the direction of the wind, the raging of the waves, etc. Whatever oceanic conditions are prevailing at that particular time, you set your sails accordingly. And you can find yourself cruising based on the set sails. But it happens that a storm comes, a crisis comes, and the crisis changes the oceanic conditions. The intensity of the wind is affected. The direction of the wind is affected. The velocity of the wind is affected. The waves, they begin to rage. The visibility may be affected. There may be cloud and all kinds of things. So you find yourself in a different space. So things are no longer the way they used to be, because now there is a crisis. But guess what? Even when the crisis is gone, you are now in the new normal. It is a new normal because maybe your boat has been shaken. Maybe it is messed up in some ways. It is no longer as strong as it used to be. Maybe even some of the sails have been torn, or a lot of things have gone wrong in the boat. The truth is, following the crisis, things are no longer the same as yesterday. Even if the winds will stop and it is now calm as it used to be, yes, it is the same as it used to be, but maybe your boat has been rattled. It's no longer the way it used to be, and therefore it is a new normal. Maybe during the time when you were sailing, in order to survive, there are certain things that you took out of the boat so that the boat could be a little lighter. Well, the storm is gone. The atmospheric conditions may be the same as yesterday, but you no longer have certain things that you had in the boat before the crisis came. That makes the condition to be a new normal. Maybe somebody died during the time when it was very stormy. Now the storm is gone. Let me tell you something. It is a new normal because you have lost somebody. Maybe you retrenched people during a crisis because they were making the boat to be heavy, so you needed to make some decisions. Maybe during the lockdown, there are things that you regarded as non-essentials, so you took them off the boat. Now, The storm is gone. You miss those things. It is a new normal. So whatever the case may be, maybe you are still in the crisis. That's a new normal. Or it is after the crisis. It is a new normal because a number of things have changed. What we are really saying here is that a crisis definitely, whether during the time or after it, it shall have brought new conditions. And we are saying you must reset for the new conditions. And in this case, you reset your sails. The statement we have put there that it is not the blowing of the wind, but the setting or the resetting of the sails, what that means is don't shout against the wind. Don't shout against the storm, because that will not help you. You will shout and shout and shout until you lose your lungs. But that will not change the direction of the wind. It will not change the intensity of the wind. It will not affect the velocity of the wind. What you need to do is to learn the art of setting the sails. You are the captain. Captaincy becomes a critical thing. And there are a number of things you must pay attention to. Number 1, compass. Number 2, map. Number 3, weight. Number 4, teacup. Number 5, luck. And number 6, synergy. We may not have the time to get into details with each of these, but let's pick up on 1 or 2 or 3 of them and say a few words about it. And you'll get more of this in my book, The Reset Blueprint, How Smart Individuals and Institutions are able to survive a crisis and thrive in the new normal. So let's start with the compass. As a captain of your own boat, you must have the ability to read the compass. It is one of the principles that is important when you are setting the sails. How you set the sails is influenced by the compass. A compass is a gadget, a magnetic or even electromagnetic gadget that we use to identify the true north. Because there is one true north for all of us in the world. So once we know which one is the true north, then you can decide which direction you are taking. Whether you are going that north or you are going east, you will know where east is, you'll know where west is, you will know where south is, if somebody or something can show you which one is the true north. Now, there are certain fundamentals that never change. So the true north will remain the true north. So the use of the compass here, basically we are saying, what are the universal principles that govern ocean life? You need to know that. And if you see the lighthouse ahead of you, and that light in the lighthouse, you're not going to argue with it because it is fixed. It's a principle that stands. You can't break it. You can't break that law. In fact, if you try to break the law, you break yourself. So you need to know, what are these things that are unchangeable? What are the things that we must respect when we are in the ocean? And we need to maneuver ourselves and other things in relation to that. Number 2, the map. The map is interesting because while the compass helps us with our decision making in terms of which direction we are going to take, the map deals with the navigation, because the direction may be that way, but if there is an iceberg in front of us now between where we are going and where we are, the map is going to help us in terms of making a decision in terms of which detour we are going to take. Are we going to go around it on the right-hand side, or we are going to go around the iceberg on the left-hand side? Because the map is current. Like we say that the road to success is always under construction. They may tell you to stop for a while or go that way or take a short detour or whatever. The map assists you with that. The compass just tells you that's the direction we are taking. But the fact that this is the direction we are taking, it doesn't mean that we must go through here now. It may mean that we may have to sidetrack a little bit and come back again, because the compass keeps telling us which one is our true north, and therefore we have a decision in terms of which direction are we taking. But the map, you must know how to read the map. Otherwise, the direction may be correct, but you are going to hit against the iceberg because you didn't read the map that shows you where the challenges are and what you need to be doing right now. Because the map is relevant for the now. The map is current to the now. And today's conditions may be different from yesterday, and the map tells you that. Not only the map you need to check the weight. The weight is a very important thing when you are sailing in a stormy weather. It is a necessary thing to consider. It's a critical success factor when you are setting the sails. So number one, check the distribution of the weight. The weight needs to be distributed in a certain way so that you can prevent the boat capsizing in the water because one side was more heavy than the other. But not only that, the weight itself, is it not too much for the boat? The weight that you heard when you started sailing before the crisis might have been okay for the boat in the absence of crisis. But now that you are going through crisis, you may have to take off some things to assist you with the setting of the sails. But even after the crisis, you will find that the boat is now rattled. It's no longer strong enough. Maybe some things have been broken. It may not be strong enough. So even when there's no more crisis, you may still have to take off some things. So the weight is an important consideration. And that weight comes in different ways. You may be having people who are not necessary in your life anymore. They need to be taken off. You may be having some luggage that is not necessary in your life anymore. You may have to take it off. But you may be having some useless arguments. That is weight in your life. You may be having worries. You are worrying about things you should not be worried about. Things that you should have given them to the hands of the Lord. Cast all your burdens unto God, for He cares for you. Maybe those things are the ones that are heavy on your shoulders. They are heavy on your boat. Give them to the Lord. Maybe it's unforgiveness and self-blame and guilt and grudges, etc. They are heavy on your lifeboat. Take them off. Then you have teacup. Teacup there, it means think correctly under pressure. It's one consideration you must have. You need mental toughness when you are sailing in a stormy weather. So the fact that the wind is blowing and all that, yes, it is scary, but you need to think correctly under pressure. In other words, don't let your thinking become a victim of the circumstances. Don't make your thinking to be at the mercy of the raging storms and the raging waves. Think correctly under pressure. You need some luck, but the luck I'm talking about is not just luck that you are lucky in the issue of chance. No. Luck there means labor under correct knowledge. Labor under correct knowledge. What that means is you need some serious skills. Setting the sails is not praying. It is literally setting the sails. You must know how to set the sails, which means you also need to know how to read the compass, how to read the map. You need to know how to gauge the nautical miles, which is a measure of the speed of the wind. That is why you must labor under correct knowledge. And lastly, synergy. As a captain, man, you need to know how to make people to work together. When you're sailing in a stormy weather, usually there's a cry or there is instruction that would go to all the crew members. When we say all hands on deck, all hands on deck, which means that nobody must be a parcel or a liability in this case. We are now in trouble. You all come to the deck and all hands on deck. It means everybody, they must do what they are supposed to be doing. And the focus of our energy is on survival, is on thriving, is on making sure that we escape the danger that is before us. All hands on deck, meaning teamwork. Nobody is a burden in this ship. Nobody is a liability in this ship. Everybody becomes an asset. But that requires captaincy. It requires leadership. It requires someone who is in charge. Someone who can read the compass. Someone who can read the map. Someone who can determine the weight in the boat. Someone who will think correctly under pressure. Someone who will labor under correct knowledge. And someone who will command everybody to have their hands on deck. That's how we reset the sails. The message here is, don't shout against the wind. Don't shout against COVID-19 pandemic. Don't even worry too much. Where does it come from? What? Don't worry. Leave that to the scientists. You have a life to live. You have a business to run. All you need to do now is to learn the art of setting the sails. We're talking resetting to thrive in the new normal. And this was part 4, reset your sails. Meet us next time when we deal with another reset element. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed this. We encourage you to keep on joining us all the time. We encourage you to create a club where you are watching together with your colleagues, so you can have conversations about what we are talking about and have discussions and help your organization. And you, if you do that, I promise you, you will live a life of influence and impact. We appreciate your support financially and otherwise in order to keep this ministry and to keep the television license operational. So thank you so much. Details are on the screen. If you want to support this, and I'm sure you do want to, we know that God is definitely going to bless you. Thank you so much. See you next time.